Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. Tonight, we give you the coverage of the Trinity Racing League presented by Larry Arts Production. The Season 1 of the Trinity Racing League has certainly had its ups and downs, and last week, got to see a first-time winner in this series of Thomas Green, winning the first race of the chase at Talladega. A lot of different strategies were thrown there, but we head to our second race of the chase, here under the lights at Charlotte, a track that's notoriously known for strategies, from fuel saving in real life to tire calls made in the sim world. So many opportunities to find their way into victory lane, and tonight is either going to continue building on his lead for Vincent Sora, or someone else is going to try to claw their way into a fighting chance for a championship. We're excited to give you all the calls here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me as always on Monday nights is Zach Hall. And Zach, after last week at Talladega, the interesting way that race came to a conclusion at overtime. Tonight, I mean, we could see overtime, but it also has a chance of some green flag racing.
That we could have a ton of green flag racing here. Just going to depend on what these drivers do, of course. You know, coming off the super speedway last week at Talladega, now here through the mile and a half of Charlotte, and it's going to be much more in the driver's hands when it comes to how your position and how your destiny plays out. But after that start of last week, it's kind of opened, it's built a gap, of course, for Vincent Sora, but also opened up a door for possibly a few others like Jackson Anderson, who had that late, charge to get into this chase. He's now surged up to third in points. So we'll look at those points again later, but this has really opened up the door after Talladega.
It really has. In another mile and a half race, we're excited to give you the coverage here tonight for the Legacy Arts Production 210 here this evening. Changing up, we were supposed to have a Legacy-themed night back at Chicagoland, but with issues that arise, we weren't able to broadcast that night. So, sponsored-wise, Larry Arts Production decided let's move that to a different race, and we found ourselves here at Charlotte. So you're going to see a couple of throwback themed vehicles here this evening. Larry Arts Production has already looked at all the vehicles, and in chat we are expecting for him to type out who his pick was of his favorite scheme here this evening. Just a little bit of a disclaimer: if they are sponsored vehicles by Larry Arts Production, they are ineligible, so we'll see what vehicle he picks out here tonight. But we get ready for qualifying. Interesting stat: we've ran 4 mile-and-a-half tracks in the past, and drivers that have found themselves grabbing the pole, well, it hasn't been just one driver dominating. We've had 4 different pole sitters, from Jarrett Talmadge, Vincent Sora, Ryan Ferraro, and Gavin Rogers. We've also had 4 different winners being selected. I'm curious if tonight, Zach, if we see any driver become a 2-time pole sitter here this evening, or will they find themselves striking gold and maybe get another win for themselves here tonight, as we take a look at the 84 of Austin Halsey as he gets the M&M's rolling.
It's definitely been a mixed bag when it comes to qualifying, and we're going to see how these drivers can put their laps together, because seeing a lot of drivers have some issues with this car hanging onto it. So we'll see who can take these high grip moments with these tires and put down the fastest lap. As you see Halsey here ripping the top of 1 and 2. So going to be interesting to see if this is just a warm-up lap or if the top is actually quick, because Charlotte has been in the past able to run the top of 1 and 2 and find speed. So we'll see how it works out here as he comes out of 4. See what this lap can be, but will he pick up on the second? I think is going to be the question, because we always come with these qualifying sessions going, which lap will be faster?
Is it lap 1? Is it lap 2? And currently a quick lap time for Vincent Sora, 30.247 on his first lap. We'll see if there's any pickup for himself as Austin Halsey continues to rip the top. Ethan Delaire going to be the fastest time after his second lap, a 30.103. So it seems like there is a little bit of pickup to watch out for. It's the low 30s. Take it back into the 29s, a 29.7 from Vincent Sora. Austin Halsey across the line for the 84. Not too quick of a lap for his first go around. He was 9th fastest. He'll bounce it up to 5th fastest. He will continue to drop down as some drivers we haven't seen for most of the season. Gonna be Colton Jordan up to 4th on the board, as now he'll fall down in position. But Vincent Sora, a 29.788. Drivers were thinking the pole time was gonna be around a 29.9. We'll take it away. Another driver hits the 27. It's the 29.7. That will be Nolan Hicks with the new pole time.
heck of a time from both of those drivers with separated by 0.03 of a second, and then from down to Cedric Hunter, it's almost a tenth and a half. So when you have Ali Fonseca, he was in the 29.84, so about half a tenth off for him from the top leader. So great time from the 24, and he was the winner from Chicagoland.
He was the winner from Chicagoland. Ali Fonseca able to get that win done for himself the last time at a 1.5 mile course. The driver, though, that's second in the points entering tonight, Larry Yingling, trying to carry forward after some great momentum after last week's race at Talladega. 67, I think starting up front going to be key for himself. The question is, what type of pace will Yingling have as he completes lap number 1? Across the line for Yingling, we'll see where he tops himself off as Jarrett Talmadge, top of the board. The driver with the most poles this season with 3 is trying to go for number 4 with a 29.709. That is another incredible lap by the driver on top of the board.
And he needs this. He needs a big bounce back after network troubles last week at Talladega. So he really needs a big bounce back this year, Charlotte.
Larry Yingling crossed the line. Where will he place himself? It was 26, a slow time for his first lap. How big of a pickup was it for himself? Good enough for a top 10, 7th for the 67 of Yingling. Michael Miller up to 4th. Also going to be Joshua Stovall in 9th position. Looking at last drivers that are trying to put in time. Cody Reed, first lap looked to be invalidated. Second lap will be validated, but at a slow time of 30.4. Cody Reed will start at the end of the line. Last driver attempting a time could be Martin Morales, as he's hoping to get inside of the top 20. Not going to be the case. 24th for the 9 machine. As drivers are finishing up their little bits of fun, we will be seeing the field get prepared for tonight's race. 140 laps here this evening, and Jarrett Talmadge taking his second pole in the 1.5 mile courses, his 4th pole of the season. And at 27, like Zach said, trying to make a rebound push after last week's issues. You know, talking about internet issues, today has been a weird day. Talking about the internet, there's been a lot of services that have been hit and knocked down. We're hoping that all of those issues have been cleared up, but drivers have been notified if there is any massive droppage at certain periods of this race, it will either end the race or they will restart the session. Zach, always a worry when there's internet issues. At least the field knows the scenario if a hypothetical timing of everyone dropping out happened.
Yeah, it's a tough situation, but I got to give these guys a major credit here at Trinity. They have a complete contingency plan, like you said, and have it all planned out. So if certain scenarios do play out where they have to do something, they know exactly the route they're going to go. So it is important to be prepared, and that's one thing you got to be prepared sometimes in these ages of network issues.
And that also will come over to us as we take a look at our point standings. Currently, it's Vincent Sora top of the board. Larry Yingling just 6 points behind him. Jackson Anderson 14 points behind our leader. 15 points is Joshua Kanata. Joshua Stovall 15. 16 is Stephen Clapp. Top 6, keeping it close. Everyone that's outside of our top 6, I would say they need a pickup race, that being Chris Stitz, as well as Justin Campbell, Nolan Hicks, Noah Steele, Jarrett Talmadge, Ali Fonseca, Aaron Kralik, Justin Smith, Cody Reed, and then obviously Cedric Hunter. After missing last week's race, he's kind of ineligible, but could be a fun factor of a driver to watch out for because he was entering the playoffs 3rd in points.
Yeah, definitely think he'll be a driver to watch out for. That's for sure. Tough being able to miss a race, but I think he'll be able to try to get the best finish he can. But I think I agree with you, Sam. I mean, really from 6 on up, it is, I think, doable within, the bounds of a couple races to close that gap down pretty easily, sometimes with certain situations. But I think pretty much from farther on back, you need to really have huge finishes, and that means max points days. So we'll see if some of these drivers can start to put it together, because that's the thing about the chase. It's all about consistency.
We've seen so many different winners this season, ultimately dominated by Vincent Sora with 5 wins so far. But we have, concluding tonight, just 4 races left in the season. Here at Charlotte, next week at Richmond, Auto Club, and Las Vegas to finish out the season to see who will hoist the Trinity Racing League Championship. I know for a majority of the field, these final races, there's a lot of raceable tracks where everyone could have a chance to win. I think next week's probably going to be one of the toughest tracks. But here tonight, based off the feeling drivers are saying. Zach, I mean, do you feel like if you're further down the points, is it tonight your last chance to really turn your chase around, or is it next week one of your last chances to turn it around?
I'd say it's your last chance to get it going in the right direction. And what I mean by that mostly is top 5, top 10 nights, something solid. You can't come out of here, I think, giving up points again. If you're, I understand sometimes it's gonna be hard to gain on that leader. It's just how it is sometimes. But if you can gain on the other drivers around you and kind of move yourself up in position and continue that consistency, you never know. One bad race comes around the corner for a driver, and with no stage points, you can get really big gains, especially with these field sizes still being pretty sizable. It's going to make where you can gain a ton of points if someone has a really tough night and ends up early out.
Yeah, 31 drivers registered up for tonight's race, and here are some of the drivers that we feel like are those to watch out for tonight. I feel like it is a statement race for Vincent Sora. I'm going to pick one of the obvious drivers. When we come to mile-and-a-half tracks, he is always up front, always a threat, and I feel like he probably should have won the last mile-and-a-half track we were at Chicagoland, but it came down to mistakes, pit road mistakes, that ultimately costed this 15 from winning. I think he's going to strip away those mistakes and find himself having a great race here tonight. Watch out for Vincent Sora to make a statement race and solidify himself going into that championship run. But Zach, who do you have as your driver to watch out for here this evening?
Yeah, and I'm going for a driver to watch out, from tonight all the way to the end of the playoffs. And I'm going to go with the 13 Cedric Hunter. We were bringing it up when we were going through the standings. I think it's going to be really interesting to watch because he was very strong during the regular season and consistent. He is 49 points back from the lead, so I think the championship hopes are out the window, so to say. But he can still maybe come out here with a top 5 points night or a top 5 point season, and I think he'd be very happy if he could continue the season with missing a race to get up there.
And the man that's behind all of us, who gives us the ability to talk while the graphics are moving, Robert Moyer Jr. running production in the background. He'll go with the driver who's been on a hot streak entering the playoffs. It may be one of the drivers to watch out for here tonight, this evening. Jackson Anderson from Storm Racing. I think this 08 is going to be a driver to watch out for. Zach, after the way that this season has been building up, Anderson and Sora, there's a little bit of a rivalry that's been mounting up between those two. I'm curious if it boils over tonight, if it's later on in the chase, but they better be careful if they're close to one another coming to the end of or during this race at any point.
They definitely race very hard around each other. So, yeah, if we get that action side by side, it could either be a wild moment or a derailer for somebody's championship hopes.
Well, drivers are set. They are ready. 31 registered for tonight's race. Again, thank you for joining with us on your Monday evening, watching the Trinity Racing League presented by Larry Arts Production. Taking the Blazing Fast TV Pole Award for the 4th time this season, it's Jarrett Talmadge in the 27. Congratulations on taking that pole time. The rest of your starting grid sponsored by Orchid Ink Tattoo Studios. Head on over to Orchid Ink Tattoo Studios on Instagram to be your one-stop shop for custom full-color tattoos, stickers, paints, and more. And to the outside of our Blazing Fast TV Pole Award winner will be Nolan Hicks in the 86. Behind them is going to be finding Vincent Sora and Michael Miller. Miller with a great qualifying time for himself in the 99. In 5th, we find the 30 machine of Ryan Kelly. Ali Fonseca will be back in 6th position. Larry Yingling, who needs another strong run and keeping it close with Vincent Sora. He'll be starting in the top 10 in 7th. 8th place is for the number 8 of Noah Steele. We also find Joshua Stovall in the 1 machine starting in 9th, and finishing out our top 10, it's Zach's pick of Cedric Hunter taking that 10th place position.
Starting in 11th is Justin T. Campbell in the 66 machine. Alongside him in 12th goes our 2nd place man from Chicagoland, Chris Stitz. 13th is going to be the 16 of Joshua Kanata with the return of the 83 of Colton Jordan here tonight in the 14th position. 15th is going to be the 01 of Aaron Kralik with Ethan Smith starting alongside him in 16th. Robert's pick here tonight, starting a little bit farther back here in 17th. That's the 08 of Jackson Anderson. Alongside him in 18th is going to be the 22 of Ethan Delaire. 19th is going to be the 85 of Samuel Garcia, and rounding out the top 20 is the 84 of Austin Halson.
In 21st position, the 6 machine of Justin Smith. Behind him is going to be last week's winner in 22nd position, the 3 of Thomas Green. Behind him in 23rd will be the 49 of Ryan Bird. with Mark Morales in the 9 machine in 24th. The 10 of Ryan Ferraro will be in 25th. Mark Labertone given a penalty this evening for the 44. He will start at the end of the line after an Arca brake incident, but did qualify in 26th position. Cody Reed 27th for the 88. And Kenny in 28th will find the 51. In that 29th position is the 33 of Malik Coots, as well as finding Stephen Clapp and Travis Downing, finishing out our 31 drivers here this evening. As well, with Mark Labertone heading in the back, will be our front row earner, Nolan Hicks. He was also given an Arca braking penalty. He will be finding himself heading to the end of the line. That's going to be tough for the 86, who had a great qualifying pace. We'll see how well he can climb through the field. This evening, we have her halfway at the end of lap 71. Also have no fast repairs. Torch will set the tires. Expected for this race, if it goes green all the way, to be a 2-stop. Zach, are there any other factors to watch out for here this evening?
I want to see what the lines are going to do here, Sam. I've seen this track in the past year or so. It's become much more multi-group. The bottom is very dominant when it comes to saving the tires, but I've seen that outside group really start to work better and better as these builds have progressed. So let's see how this works out here tonight with this Xfinity car.
Drivers are ready for all the amazing racing action here tonight. Trinity Racing League, presented by Larry Arts Production, has had a lot of moments, but it's time for race number 12 on the schedule to begin. Pace car into pit road and chase race number 2. Legacy Art Production 210 is underway. Jared Talmadge, Vincent Soar going to be working together on the inside. Michael Miller trying to find some help on the outside group, but Oli Fonseca will just follow in line as it's the 27 and the 15 just trying to pull away off the exit of turn 2.
Great start from that bottom lane. Brian Kelly, he's going to pull himself all the way up to 3rd. So getting past Michael Miller around that top 5, but immediately Vincent Sora, no time wasted. He goes right to the bottom side of the 27 of Jared Talmadge.
Vincent Sora trying to lead the first lap. That's a bonus point for yourself. Talmadge will lead that lap for the 27. Now he's going to be trying to set up to hold this position, but with the way that we've seen tires be so important in the Xfinity car throughout this season, I'm not surprised to see the 27 back off, but I'm a little shocked to see Vincent Sora. Usually he's okay with pacing himself behind the drivers. He wants to get up front early and make sure he leads at least one lap.
That he's definitely got to look a little bit about fire lit. Michael Miller might have made a little bit of contact with the wall there, racing with Larry Yingling, as Yingling's going to slot up to 4th now. So both Kelly and Yingling making the moves here early up through the start of this race.
As your fastest lap sponsor, the Hot Lap Designs. Head on over to Hot Lap Designs and find yourself with some great quality visual graphics that if you're looking also for iRacing schemes, logo designs, and merchandise art, go head on over to Hot Lap Designs today. As whoever gets the fastest lap of the day will earn 1 bonus point for themselves, as Vincent Sora currently holding on to that. As Samuel S. Garcia, Aaron Kralik, and so many others in the middle of the field, this is going to be the Hornet's Nest. Middle of the pack, Charlotte, one of the more surprisingly narrow mile-and-a-half courses that drivers will be racing around. I mean, Zach, when you're in this spot, it really does feel like you're trapped and there's nowhere to go.
It really does. When you're too wide here, it is very wild. I mean, Charlotte, you look at the track, it feels very wide and it looks wide, but when you're in the car, it just feels so much more narrow and so much more tough to get done. And it is a low grip mile-and-a-half when it comes to the grip levels, when it is comparable to others. It is very much a tire-wearing track, and one you have to be very patient when you're driving. So I'm interested to see who's going to be able to kind of, give up something maybe and come back, or will it be that case of you just want to hold on to what you got and be able to build off of it later?
As a couple of drivers having some issues. Cody Reed, I don't know what happened mechanically or if there's issues outside of his power. 88 currently sits in pit road, 5 laps down, still sitting in pit road. Ethan Delaire as well, who qualified in 18th, started in pit road to start the race off. He's currently still in the lead lap, but 24 seconds off of the leader. Other drivers that are making some big moves forward. Larry Yingling, he wants to lead a lap as the 67 takes the top spot over Vincent Sora, and a lap led for the top 2 contenders in points. So they will equal out at that position. Now the question is, who wants to be the true leader up front, which, with the new aero packages that we've seen in the next gen, as well as in the trucks and some of the other vehicles, we've seen that being up front isn't always the most comfortable position to be in. I'm curious, Zach, what's your Xfinity car? What have you heard on wanting to be the leader as the fight continues on?
It is going to be interesting here tonight. I haven't really got too much information. It really is going to depend on the balance. If these things are tight, you're going to really want that clean air. And what we mean by tight, folks, is that the car wants to push out towards the wall here. So if it's a little bit loose, the rear end wants to kick out towards the wall. So it's a little bit of the opposite end as England continues to work the top side here to take and control this lead. It's been the 15 has been sort of fighting back ever since Yingling has got that lap led. The 15 said, I'm not just going to give it up that easy. Is now goodwill, as Ryan Kelly even too, not really looking to save. He's moving his way up here in the third. So early in the going, right now our top 8 drivers all on top of one another.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising to see everyone try to find their right footing. Right, where are you wanting to save? When are you wanting to take off and go? And Jared Talmadge back to 4th position. His mirror is certainly full of other drivers going back and forth as Joshua Stovall, Michael Miller. I mean, these two have just been attached at the hip ever since we've seen them run in the ISRC Truck Series before the Trinity Series was made. These two both came in the same class of drivers, and they just naturally are always near one another, it feels like, as they finally get in line. We also have a report on Cody Reed from All the Fonseca sponsor of Brandon Davies. Cody was having wheel issues, no force feedback, and not able to downshift. Luckily for the 88, he is back out on track, but again, 5 laps down. Frustrating start to have for a machine that was expecting to be quick here this evening.
Definitely a tough break for him, especially after the end of Dega last week. It really has compounded things here for him as we watch this top grouping still one another, just all one after another right there on top of each other. And it is kind of interesting to see. You know, you see Ryan Kelly, he kind of ducks a little bit higher there in the middle of the corner, try to find the clearing area. And now Vince Asora, he's looking to take the lead back. So it's kind of just that cat and mouse game of you go this fast, I'll go that fast. So it's everybody kind of balancing themselves off each other.
Yeah, and you know, well, with the way that we used to see the tire wear factors, if you pushed aggressively in the first 3 to 4 laps, after 10, you're in trouble and you're going to be faltering backwards. It seems like it's a lot of push for a lap, back off for 2, push for a lap, back off for 2. As Yingling as well as Sora back at it again, going side by side into turn number 3. And we are getting reports Cody Reed still having wheel issues, but he's just trying to power on through with the issues that he's dealing with. You hate to see it again for the driver that is back in 30th position. As the battle for the lead, it's still Vincent Sora up front, but I do want to give note of some drivers that have been moving forward efficiently. Thomas Green started back in 22nd position. He currently is up to 9th place, up 13 spots. Also, Nolan Hicks, who started all the way back at the end of the line with the end of the line penalty to start this evening off. He's already up to 19th position. Great job by both the 3 as well as the 86 machine.
That 86 especially too has been really good, like quietly good on these intermediates too. You know, he has really shown a lot of speed at some of those tracks, so it's been interesting to watch his growth this season. Is right now watching Cedric Hunter go to battle with Noah Steele, and you know, Hunter was my pick here tonight, and you know, necessarily wasn't to win, but I just think he is one of those drivers that runs 10th to 15th for the beginning of the race, and then somehow you look at the end, he's in 5th or 6th, and sometimes even up into the top 3. So I look for him to possibly show some consistency here and gain some points back and get a decent finish. This whole Steele up into that wall. That's going to allow Hunter to get by, Jackson Anderson, and now even we're going to see the 66 of Justin Campbell look to go by.
And also by the 8th machine, a driver who forgot what league we're in and running a throwback scheme, you could say, of the winner back from Saturday. The Austin Hall machine. 82 is supposed to be the 83 of Colton Jordan. And Jordan blinking out, trying to get back into the session for himself as he's back on track. Somewhat that 21 on track, 83 on our ticker is going to have here this evening with his great return. We fall back to other drivers that are just trying to get settled in. Nolan Hicks watching the battle in front of him. That's the 00 of Ethan Smith, as well as the 6th machine of Justin Smith, going back and forth between one another as Joshua Kanata getting a good mirrorful of the battling he's got in his mirror.
There's been really some interesting battles going on because I think this track is very much widening out. You can see these drivers all just kind of fanning to the outside, sometimes looking to the right rear. with a driver ahead of him. I've seen a few big moves from drivers up near the front of the pack, even going right against the wall in 1 and 2 to find the big momentum to make passes. So you can already see, look, moving up in 1 and 2, trying to find momentum. That's how you're going to set things up right here. And it's going to be interesting to see what it does to the tires, of course. But right now, the drivers are really utilizing it to get a big run down the back straightaway.
Massive runs all around as they continue to push forward, seeing drivers attempting to go by. Here's the 66 of Justin T. Campbell. Got 1 win earlier in the season. After that, found himself getting 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s. And just has kind of been a driver that it's kind of been bizarre to watch Justin in the way that he races, because we know the 66 has top 5 pace. If he puts the time and effort in, it just feels like it's more of a randomness of what we're going to get that day from the 66 machine. It's oh my goodness, steal. What a lunge by the 8 machine that kind of scooped the 3, but more so the 21 on the outside.
And what's impressive is he held it right on the bottom, didn't come up into anybody, and made the pass on all of them. So great job by Steele there. I mean, that was a diving maneuver. And see Kralik, he's thinking about maybe doing the same. As you can see, the drivers just almost on the apron with their left side tires sometimes here at Charlotte, because there's so much grip right on that blue and white man down there. The tires just love that little bit of asphalt.
Guys keep it close, fighting back and forth, and Steele working on where he wants to pounce to get by this 66 machine. We're right on board with Campbell. And then in front of these guys for the battle for the lead, Jared Talmadge starting to show signs that he wants to pounce for this lead position. He was back in 4th place. He was able to move up now into 2nd position, and he's just been watching lap after lap, just slightly faster than the 15. The question is, where will he want to place himself? Is he going to try to force a mistake, or will he force the issue to get onto the inside? It seems like that's where a lot of drivers are feeling comfortable to make passes, is getting to the inside of them and kind of forcing the driver a little bit higher than they want to.
See how he looks to do this, but he's definitely been a slight bit quicker here than the 15s. You're going to see he's going to take the top over here in 1 and 2, try for the momentum option. He's going to have a big run here, right to the inside of the 15, and this is going to be on for the lead now.
Setting up these passes, these runs, wherever you can go, and that exit of turn 2 can really help you out through 3 and 4. The exit of the corner, tough for the driver on the outside. That wall just sneaks up on you if you're not careful. But Vincent Sora keeps his foot in the throttle and still continues to lead. 21 laps in. No caution has been thrown just yet, as we do have some drivers that have called it an evening, not even able to make the start. Was Malik Kuntz, who was looked to be having some internet issues. 30 that will able to run here this evening. As everyone up front single filing out, as that could have been the last hurrah for the next couple of laps from Jared Talmadge. You look deeper in the field, and there's a lot more action outside of the top 15, but Talmadge once again sees an opening and he'll pounce to the inside.
See what that run does, though. It's just very hard to carry that momentum. You see 15 by on that outside, but man, this track is really starting to get wide now, making the racing pretty good here. As we got this battle, of course, setting up here. As he's looking at top 3 and 4. This is where it's going to get interesting. If you can make, yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Just a little bit too less room on that outside of 3 and 4. There's just not enough grip, and didn't have the exit off of 4 at all. I mean, when you run the top, you really look for the exit of the corner to be the big place to gain, and he lost all his speed on the exit.
Ollie Fonseca, the 24 machine winner from Chicagoland, the end of the regular season. Crazy to say, just 2 weeks ago. And Ollie showing similar pace in form that he had at Chicagoland. Was very quick, was up front instead of the top 5, and it was in the later runs where the 24 really started to shine during that Chicagoland racing. Zach, I mean, Ollie's been a fun driver to watch. I mean, we know that he's got the pace, the speed to run up front. I feel like there's about 15 drivers who could say that. But Ollie's been a fun driver to see his career and the way that he's ebbed and flowed as a driver in his growth when he actually puts his time in to be quick. He is certainly one of the fastest drivers that can compete for a win.
Oh, he definitely is, and especially these intermediates. I feel like that's where he's came into his own as the Speedy cars. His intermediate program has been really, really good. I mean, of course, won at Chicagoland, so no wonder there. I mean, that's just showing the strength that he's had, and he's continuing here tonight here with the top 5 runs so far. He's also got to look not too far behind Chris Stitz, the guy who beat Chicago in a little bit of a controversial fashion. He's starting to close in here too. So Stitz, again, having another spectacular intermediate night. He just seems to always claw his way forward, even if he qualifies a little bit farther back.
Yeah, I mean, for Chris Stitz, he's had a very quiet season. He's only ran 9 races so far in total out of the 11 that have been put out there. And for Stitz, just missing, I mean, he made the playoffs, made the chase. He was spectacular on the races that he shows up for. He's got 4 top 5s, 6 top 10s. Really thought Chicagoland was going to be that winning time for himself. Just wasn't the case. Like we said, just a little bit of shenanigans that went on during that run. But this 17, running up front, it always felt like there was a bad omen over him for a while there, for almost a year and a half. It just felt like Stitz never could find the luck to have a good finish here this season. Certainly has found the luck. Now it's, can he break through and find that win? Driver, though, that's been shockingly under the radar and really hasn't been a factor as much as I think we thought he was going to be. Right behind him, that 30 machine is going to be seeing Ryan Kelly running a Dale Earnhardt Sr. throwback scheme for himself. Where has Kelly been? I am shocked on the fact that we have not seen him out there meeting and having home wins this season.
And personally, I felt like this car was going to suit everything that was, the things that make Kelly such a great driver. I mean, we've seen this series. Anytime Kelly in all the series he's been so good at saving tires, and I felt like that was going to be like such a benefit in this car. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's been good because the competition is so stiff here. Still running where he's at is strong. But, we definitely, I felt, both of us probably felt like wins were in that future and possibly a championship threat because he's definitely shown on Wednesday nights he is a championship threat a lot of times.
Speaking about threats, well, here's 2 of the 3 drivers that we've selected here tonight. Zach, your pick of Cedric Hunter in 8th place. Robert's pick of Jackson Anderson in 9th. They're starting to move up for the both of them into a better position, seeing the likes of Ryan Kelly. I mean, he was being patient, but for Cedric Hunter, for how long will he stay in place, as well as Jackson Anderson? I mean, looking at the pace compared to our leader to these drivers that are further on back, I mean, it's crazy to say, Vincent Sora is still about 2 tenths faster than this group of drivers that we're seeing motor their way through the field.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Sora's pace very, very strong right now. But tell you what, this little battle here going on with Stitz is now getting passed by Ryan Kelly. Cedric Hunter looks very, very strong. So that 13 continuing again. It's just really, really good on long runs at these intermediates. If the long runs, I felt like, continued 60 to 70 laps, he would be a really strong contender, I think, for wins sometimes. But his pace kind of takes a little bit too long to kick in. But once he gets going, that 13 is just so consistent on the longer run.
Also want to give an update on one of the drivers that started up front but has been fading backwards. Michael Miller, now outside of the top 20 for the 99. He got into the outside wall and just has progressively lost time after time after time, losing 3 to 4 positions each lap. He's finally got to a point where he can try to calm down, but this 99, not the evening he was expecting for himself. Here's another driver who started strong this season, kind of has fallen away since then. Ryan Bird in the 49 just missed out on the chase, tied with Aaron Kralik, got bounced out. But the 49 currently runs in 19th position, and he's been having quite a show in front of him with Thomas Green, Justin Smith still right next to one another.
And Green really falling off a cliff here. Thomas Green had drove him away because we almost opened the 9th, and you can see just running the top there in the lap time too. He's one of the only drivers out here in the 32-second bracket, while the rest of his drivers are about the 31.7s to 31.8s. So that 3 machine's starting to fade away here on this longer run.
As the field continues to race on by, 34 laps in. And now we'll turn to the question of when will you make your pit stop? We were given the fact that drivers were expected this race to be a 2-stop race. But if you're Vincent Sora up front, your gap's almost up to a full second. I mean, if you're one of the front runners, is there even a thought of being one of those early drivers to pit? Or are you expecting everyone further on back to be the early goers once that pit cycle opens up?
I think the drivers right in this group right here are going to be the aggressive ones. As you see right here, Stovall getting to the inside of Fonseca. Anything they can do to grab a position or two to get some track position, from what I've seen here, with how close the pace is between this grouping, it's going to be huge for a later run. So right now, Fonseca looks to be struggling just a tiny bit with the 30 coming into the picture and the 13, but he's doing a good job of just holding station on that middle group.
Holding stationary, trying to hold back the pace, and Ollie Fonseca able to hold off the 1. Now Ryan Kelly will attempt on the outside group, try to get by the 1 machine of Stovall. That Brown 1 crew trying to get their way ahead as quickly as possible, but that was a fun shot. All fanned out, 4 different lanes being utilized, trying to find the clean air to get around this track, as well as maximize your speed. Ryan Kelly, who's ripping the wall, really found some good momentum, but Fonseca, great defensive positioning, was able to get a push instead of getting passed. And now we continue to watch the drivers through 3 and 4, staying single file. It seems like 1 and 2 is where the options are. 3 and 4, you're kind of, if you're not hitting that inside blue line, you're in trouble.
I completely agree with you, Sam. Yeah, you can see the options down here as Cedric Hunter was able to really rip the top. Will he be able to get alongside? Yes, he will. As the 1 closes the door, but the 13 now going to have the preferred line down here in 3. Can he make it work, though, is the question, because a lot of times you'll be able to sit right on the door of that driver and pull him right back here on exit, and that's what the 1 of Stovall's going to try to do. Is Kelly ahead, makes the pass, and a little contact between the 1 and the 13, as I think the 13's just going to clear here down in the 1.
Just able to clear, but how will Stovall decide to retaliate, or will he just give up on that fight? We're 38 laps in. Those tires are not the same as they were when this run started out, especially in those first 10 laps where drivers were really utilizing every part of this course. Now let's just find a feeling where your course, where your tires aren't too falling away. As the field continues to race on up front, top 3 all gapped out a second between each other. All the racing action is about 4th on back, where everyone is on top, and you see Ollie Fonseca going high, and Cedric Hunter, that Hello Kitty machine, about to crack into the top 5 and finally does so.
Yeah, he's looking strong here on this longer run. Same with Ryan Kelly, as they're going to try to close down to Larry Yingling ahead of him, but it's really starting to get to the part of the run where the lap time is starting to show little differences for others. As others start to hit that plateau, the heat zone of the tire, they're really starting to struggle. I think Kralik there, that might have been a contact to the wall for him, as I saw that smoke there. This is going to allow Kanata here to close up, and this is going to be a battle for 12th.
Battle for 12th is underway. Aaron Kralik, how will he defend the 16? As well as, shocker, Jackson Anderson got into the top 10, and he's starting to fall back right in front of these guys. And one driver that we'll call in an evening, Colton Jordan, 83 machine, attempted his first run, as he will now give it up. And right in front of this action, the 66 Justin Campbell, what a save off of 4, as Thomas Green now going to be heading into pit road, as lap 41 seems to be the sign for a couple of drivers, and it's a black flag for Thomas Green. I believe he might have been caught speeding on entry.
I believe so too. Yeah, sped on entry there, so see what they do to that 3 machine to get him back going. But right now you can see, the 08 Anderson, you brought it up, starting to struggle. I mean, he's got back alongside with Campbell here, but Campbell made a huge mistake, and I think Kralik and both Kanata should be able to pass this 08 pretty easily. He's starting to get into that zone of the 32 flat, and that is where I've seen when people really start to struggle with their race cars. Anytime they break over that 32, that probably means they've overheated that tire.
And he's going to see Campbell easily going forward. As we speak about moving forward, here's the battling for 6th position. Stovall, Fonseca, Stitz, as well as Noah Steele, side by side, 2 rows deep, and drivers on the outside better be careful. Don't want to get into that outside wall, and you're hoping the driver to your inside doesn't brush you up into that wall either. As Noah Steele, we saw so many amazing just dive bomb moves that stuck this late in the run. Does the 8 have any more magic on those tires, or has he used them all up? As this group of 4 has been racing so aggressively, it's actually pulled along the other 4 drivers we were just watching, of Campbell, Jackson, Kralik, and Kanata. They're just about 2/10 away from getting involved in this grouping. And what once was a pack of 4, now make it a pack of 8. Right as we're around the corner, a pit stop's about to be made. This is about to get a little bit more dramatic, because now you've got Thomas Green with fresh tires. He's going to be around this group, and we're going to have a little bit of slow tires versus new tires, with track position mattering.
This is awesome, man. I tell you what, it's from 6th on back to 13th is pretty much all right here together, and it just really creating some great racing. As Stitz that last time by got in the wall off of 4, this time is able to stay off of it, but Stovall continues alongside as Noah Steele has just stayed glued right to the back bumper of that 1. So that tells me that 8 is really strong if he's able to run right there on the bottom and stay right behind the 1 tucked up behind him. He's got definitely some pace there, but I think they'll all be stuck here because once they get to the 24, Fonseca, he's done a good job of really defending and kind of bottling all this up.
He really has. And this is kind of a trait that Ollie has really been working on. It's kind of become a nuisance for some. Is his defensive plays late in a run. He's really gotten better at defending and not trying to, he is holding back all these drivers, but trying to do it in a manner that's not just throwing his race away. Just trying to do a little bit of aero blocking here and there. Maybe a slight get in the way move off the exit of the corner and just trying every possible way to hold back the crowd right before green flag pit stops happen. But it looks like for Fonseca, he might have lost this chance to hold back the 1 as Stovall gets to the inside. But a hard pinching move by the 24 and contact made off the exit of 4.
24 definitely doing his best to hold these guys back right now with this defense. And Stovall, he's been here multiple times trying to make this pass, just hasn't been able to complete. I think right there he gasses it up and says, if I don't clear, I don't clear, and he does clear. So it works out for him as now Noah Steele's going to work up the inside, and here comes Justin Campbell, who showing a lot of strength here. Is even here, look at the new fresh tires from the 3 here. He's going to rocket past all these guys.
And that's what I was worried about, how quick Thomas Green get by this field, and just in a blink of an eye, passes 5 drivers in 1 corner, and perfectly timed pass by the 3 machine. Not a lot of loss of momentum as Thomas Green utilizes all of that quickness and rubber and able to clear by this group that continues to fight back and forth. The battle for 6th is still on, and Steele finally gets clear. More drivers deeper in the field that have made their pit stops, being led by Ryan Bird, Ryan Ferraro, Austin Halsey, Travis Downing, Thomas Green, all have made a pit stop so far in this run. We're still waiting for some of these front runners to make their stop, but Noah Steele trying to pull away as Campbell wanting to stick by as the 1 in 66 almost made contact on entry.
And they do. Campbell's showing a lot of pace here late in this going. Same for the 8 of Steele, and they've driven up the 6th and 7th. So right here, this first 49 laps has been very successful for a group of drivers when it comes to making passes. So it just shows you it's all about that tire wear. If you got the better tire, you make it work better, you are going to make passes here tonight.
I think also, like you noted on, tire temps. And when you overcook your tire temps, that also is a factor to watch out for. And I've been seeing a couple of drivers sliding off the exit of the corner, doing a little bit of a drift, their tail kicking out. I mean, that's late in the run. Obviously, every movement you make is hurting you. But when you're sliding earlier in the run, how much is that affecting you now as we're on lap 50 of this stint?
And I think that's the key is if you do slide it, you got to make sure the next few laps that you're very much under the grip level, and that's where it gets tough. You slide and you're in a battle. How do you cool it back down when you're in these battles like this? So this is where you see these numbers just continue to grow on the temperature of the tires, and that's really what seems to be the most important thing when it comes to racing right now, is just how you manage those temperatures, because you can have a little bit worse wear, you can have a little bit better wear. It just doesn't matter sometimes unless you have that tire temperature in the right window, because you can see some drivers hit that window quickly and fall off, and then all of a sudden they get the new rebirth fight. It looks like Fonseca coming to pit road here. Same with Kralik.
And got to make sure you slow down in time to pace speed. Thomas Green caught with a 40-second hold when he went to pit road. Don't want that for yourself. And both drivers of Kralik as well as Fonseca are clear for their pit stops. Up front, still Vincent Sora. The gap all the way up to 2.5 seconds as now the 15 makes his charge into pit road. A little bit of an aggressive pit entry, and currently looks good. No black flags for Sora, but obviously the risk to reward factors. A good pit entry could really help you out in the long run.
It really can. We've seen pit entries and pit exits win races before. I mean, we look back to ISRC back when we broadcasted those on Monday nights. We've seen such as John Forbes gain upwards of seconds sometimes just with pit entry. So you got to try to get everything out of it. But, it is risk to reward, like you said, Sam. He had a big gap and definitely felt like he still wanted to get everything out of it because he knows those gaps can go away quickly.
And pit road speed, you're trying to drop your speed down to 45 miles per hour. You can be a little bit higher crossing the line as long as you're locking up your brakes. But there is a little bit of a wiggle room where you can cross the boundary just too far. As over the radio, Cedric Hunter making the call that he's heading into pit road, and a lot of other drivers making the sign. It's time for tires, fuel, get out there on track. Now, the longer that you stay out, this could reward you on your next stop on how far you really need to push those tires, and you find a little bit more balance by having a longer pit stint. Also, if there's a caution and you're the driver left on the lead lap, that also could help you out. And that's always the worry with having over 29 drivers out on track of there's always a higher chance of a caution coming out in the middle of a pit cycle.
That's for sure. When you have different situations, different tire, grip levels and speeds, it can create big issues for sure. As you see right here, Larry Yingling having to deal with the 43 who is on fresher tires. It seems like he just doesn't want to pass the 67. I've seen multiple times he gets side by side with him in the corner and then lifts on the straightaway. And I know sometimes as a lap car, you don't want to get involved with these leaders, but this is almost hurting the 67 more than anything to have a car kind of just hanging around right there.
Yeah, and I think it's partly you, as a driver that's slower, you feel like you don't want to influence, but also you're kind of worried that if I push too aggressively with fresh tires, I could accidentally wreck myself on top of accidentally wrecking you. So I think that's a little bit that might be going through the mind of the 43, but with all of this shenanigans, it's now allowed the 15 of Vincent Sora just to show how it's done as he gets by one driver, gets by a second, and Sora flies as Mark Lavertone in the 44 very slow on the outside groove.
That's for sure. Yeah, that is old tires, new tires, every different agenda going on possible. So it is definitely wild to watch. We'll see when does England come down, because this time he is the leader and yet this is time to come down yet. And he's in a tough spot because he's got a lot of cars right around him, and that always makes you a little bit more nervous.
As more drivers that have gone into pit road, Noah Steele the last lap, Joshua Stovall as well joining in the fray. Over the radio, going to be Mark Morales, and he's heading into pit road as you see the Mountain Dew machine going into the pits. Looking at some of the drivers that have made their pit stops so far, Michael Miller spent a little bit of extra time in pit road for damage repair. Thomas Green, obviously, his black flag. And Cody Reed able to get out there on track, expecting the 88 to pit here shortly. Everyone else, been a clean in and out cycle for the most of them. So we still wait for Larry Yingling as he's now into pit road. Ethan Smith now making his side of the pit road. Same for Jackson Anderson, Samuel Garcia. And that is quite a cluster that all came in together.
That it was. And Joshua Kanata going to continue on here as he will be the leader of the race for now. As he said, it was Anderson, Smith, Garcia all coming down. I think the next car, that's cross the line, is Ethan Dallaire. He'll be still out there on the racetrack. And then I think you'll see Vincent Sora slot himself in the third. So we'll see Kanata come this time. When does Ethan Dallaire come is going to be the next question here, because 59 laps, a long time on fuel.
And Ethan Dallaire, who started in pit road to start this race off, he now makes his charge into his pit entry. Taking a little different approach. A lot of drivers gone with that late apex into the pits. A little bit of an early stop for the 22. As Vincent Sora having one of his fears. That's a car blinking in front of you. Mark Morales, who has been having internet issues before tonight's major situation that has popped up. The Night Machine happily will get out of the way as Vincent Sora back to the lead. And Zach, crazy to say, he stayed out longer than Ryan Kelly, but got through the lap car so much more efficiently. The gap is built out to 5 seconds. It was originally 3 before that pit cycle started.
This 15 is on a roll, folks. I think he's been, a little bit snake bitten a few times from these championships, and just I think he feels like he needs to build the biggest gap possible so he can have that mulligan in his back pocket if something goes wrong, because I know this kid wants to get it done for sure. Is seeing some others excel on pit roads. You could drop back here to Ryan Kelly and you can see just how physically big that gap was.
Ryan Bird in third, but one driver I'm curious on, where did he go? Jarrett Talmadge, he stayed out an extra 4 more laps and he has lost so much more time. It was 2.5 seconds between Vincent Sora to Talmadge. And currently, it's 9 seconds the difference, and Talmadge is right in the thick of things, trying to get by Ryan Ferraro as well as Ali Fonseca. The 27 splits the gap, makes it work. but all of this time of trying to have fresher tires might have backfired because he just found himself right in the middle of all the chaos.
Definitely, for sure. And what's wild is, I mean, Cedric Hunter only 1 lap over on the tires, and look, he's right there in front of Tomic, and you see Tomic almost get to the wall there, a little bit of smoke puffing up, but it is just showing that 1 lap before pit for Cedric Hunter really worked out well.
Well, we're expecting at least one more stop before the evening is over. It's been a pleasure to give you the call so far. 63 laps are in the books. We're excited to take our first commercial break of the evening. We will go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Well, you've been watching the Trinity Racing League presented by Larry Art Productions. For your first season, chase race number 2 of 5, the Legacy Art Production 210 at Charlotte has been a crazy one. We'll be back after this with some more Charlotte racing action to see who gets the halfway bonus point. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and congratulations on your Apex 50 halfway bonus point. Are you surprised? It's Vincent Sora. He's got a 7-second gap lead. It is starting to shrink. It was almost up to 8 seconds, but we're starting to see Cedric Hunter get in front and starting to move forward quickly. We also got the report. You can see it in the chat. Congratulations to the 9 machine of Martin Morales on winning the Trinity Racing League Throwback Scheme Competition, sponsored by Larry Arts Production. What a beautiful scheme this one is. It's one of Chase Elliott's Baja Blast schemes, kind of similar to what the Dale Hart Jr. schemes were back in the day, and I'm a fan of it. That also that shimmer that he's got of the metallic color really works on this 9.
Oh, it really does. Yeah, that was a great looking car. I think that was the Gen 6 era, the number 9. So that was definitely a good looking machine there for sure. So good job on Martin getting that out there on track. And again, thank you to Larry Arts Productions, for everything they do here, not only for the league, but, putting on cool things like this where these guys can go out here, get creative, and try to make us some cool schemes. And, he gives these guys something on the line to do it for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think the funny thing is the fact that Larry posted saying, I'm a big Chase Elliott hater, but that Baja scheme is too good to not be. I mean, gotta love it when you're having people picking out schemes. It's always fun. Larry bringing that over to the Trinity Racing League, as he was doing that for many seasons in the ISRC Truck Series. But looking at the field right now, Zach, that gap that was dwindling and becoming shorter, it's now building back up as Jared Talmadge, Cedric Hunter, they get back to battling against one another. And Vincent Sora is off in no man's land. He's got a 7.5-second gap lead. He's enjoying himself as the pink machines go back and forth.
Yeah, top 3 cars. Something about, I guess, pink here in October, man. It is the color to run, it seems, because, man, our top 3 right now, all of them sporting pink, some shade of pink on the car. So it is definitely showing up well, but we'll see what Jarrett Talmadge could do, because he does have a little bit fresher than Vincent Sora, but I will say Sora still somehow able to run faster laps. So this 15 again, like we just said, he's on rails. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of gap he can build if we continue this race screen, because I think he is in one of those zones tonight. It happens here in sim racing when you have these fixed setups. Everybody's got equal equipment. Everything's equal out here. So when someone gets real locked in and they get in that zone, they can do some pretty impressive things on the sim.
And Cody Reed has left the server, as well as given us a post in chat. Cody Reed stating, lost Ford feedback in the qualifying, tried to update drivers, then my paddle stopped working, had to bind my up and down shift to the C stick on my wheel, but at that point I was down 5. Yeah, I mean, really unfortunate. He did need a caution to come out. It just never did. And for Cody Reed, his night is done, joining Colton Jordan on calling it a night early. Also, Travis Downing has been in pit road for quite a while for the 43, getting damage repairs for himself. But here's one of the closest battles in clusters of drivers. Chris Ditz, Stovall, Yingling, as well as Eric Kralik, all battling around one another for 8th place.
This battle here definitely epic to see. And Yingling, who stayed out later, this is the quarrels of staying out later. You get stuck in this. So we'll see how can he progress through it, because again, it's only a 2 to 3 lap difference. So it's not like he's going to be able to power right by him, because it's still it's about 25 laps to run that took him to catch these guys. So Yingling, I think, is going to go back and say, man, I kind of wish I'd have done that pit sequence a little different, because, I mean, at one point he was racing Cedric Hunter, who is in 3rd, and Yingling right now about 5 to 6 seconds back in the 67, and he only stayed out about 4 laps later.
Yeah, I mean, watching this group, Yingling trying his best to get on through other battles that are trying to close in on this group. Ollie Fonseca back in 12th position. Fonseca told that he also had force feedback issues. I mean, Zach, bizarre to see one driver have those issues pop up. Usually those get squared away, but to have your force feedback disappear in the middle of a race, that is a terrifying feeling to have.
Oh, for sure. And we rely on that as drivers. I mean, literally, that's our connection to the road, is that wheel. And if we don't have that feel, it's all ears and all eyes at that point. And when you're so used to having the force feedback feel, you need it. Like it is pretty much what you rely on, and all your senses are tingling off of. So, there's people who don't run force feedback. Back in the day, they used to do it, but I feel like in this era, most, if not 90% people are running force feedback, and when you lose it, you immediately know.
Yeah, I think the only drivers that don't rely on that are kind of the controller drivers, those that have been phenomenal to watch that we've seen in other leagues that we've covered, as well as Shane Terrian on Wednesday nights. Those controller drivers, like I said, really sensing on what they're hearing and seeing. And that is what Ollie has to focus on here tonight as he's battling the 49 Brian Burrs for 12th place between these two drivers. The other drivers that we were watching before, Stovall, Yingling, Stitz, Kralik, they're starting to space out slightly more. And kind of all the battles that we once were watching of everyone on top of one another, we're kind of in that space out zone. Who's willing to push the action, try to break away? And when will we see the accordion kind of pull those drivers back into these pods at about 4 or 5 different main groups? Some drivers that have lost touch to the field, but are having some good days. I want to give note to the two machine of Steven Clapp. Zach, I mean, it is still incredible to watch Steven Clapp the way that he is running this season, but a driver who entered in with only 3 top 10s this season, and it's strictly on the mindset of stay out of trouble is the two. If there's a lot of cautions, he's in the back avoiding all the chaos. He'll come up with a top 10. But when it's races like this is where the two is really starting to struggle as he comes off of exit number 4, almost brushing that wall. But Clapp currently up to 20th, up 9 spots, but this is not a position that he wants to be in. He was hoping for more chaos here this evening.
Yeah, he has got to be a driver that really thrives on the chaos, so to say, because again, like you said, he stays kind of farther back, gets not into the mix, and when things happen and these races turn into a little bit of a wild one, he picks up the pieces. So yeah, it's been a cool strategy to see it work out for him, but this is the worst case scenario, like you said, Sam. So hopefully he can take this race and even learn from this. If the more you get races like this, the more you can pick up and build off onto the future. So Clapp having an excellent season, I think, for his a driver at his standards. So it has been really, really cool to see how he's manufactured some of the finishes he's got.
Thomas Green 2 laps down, fighting to get some of these laps back. Same for Michael Miller, who's 1 lap down. Both trying to close in on the gap of our top 3. Currently in between 2nd and 3rd is going to be seen Michael Miller as well as Thomas Green. With Thomas Green, what a win it was last week at Talladega. Much needed, kind of a pick-me-up for himself after the rough time that him and his family have been dealing with. But this 3 is obviously, it's hard to race at these types of courses when you've got outside pressures going on, especially when the race just isn't going your way. As into pit road, one of our early pit stops, Ali Fonseca is heading into pit road.
Yeah, definitely an early stop for him, but it's tough to drive without that force feedback, man. So he's probably just really eating through the tires with no feel to have. So we'll see what he can do on this pit stop here. But looks like even you can see, the wheel immediately turned to the left when he got into his pit box. So definitely trying to maybe make a change and reset that wheel to try to get everything back going. And
with it being close, Ollie, though, calling it a night potentially as he gets out of the car. And it looks to be not officially out of the server, but trying to change some stuff out, if possible, for that 24, as he's back out there on track. But a weird spot for Ali Fonseca for himself, hoping that the feeling is back. He's getting a report from Ollie Spotter on the wheel issue, and it looks like pitting early to fix the feedback is the official call. And the 24 back out there on track. Now, with how far this race is, he's just on the limit of making it. So this is going to be a tough one on fuel. Might have to do a little bit of fuel saving, hope that those tires make it to the end. But Ali Fonseca, we'll see how much time he can make up as the field takes off and go. A lot of them still within about, I would say, 5 to 10 laps from expected final stops of the day.
And they are, so we'll see how this all shakes out. But that gap still about 7 seconds for Vincent Sora. It stayed pretty stable between him and Jarrett Thomas. Cedric Hunter did have a big moment, kind of lost some time, and he slid back from Talmadge to about a second and a half back. So top three still pretty spaced out, but seeing some great runs from a few of these guys. But you see Anderson and Kanata here, 12th and 13th. This is kind of where they were about 40 laps ago, but in definitely different relative zones of each other. But right now, battling it up right here is they've gotten past Ryan Bird, who was one of the earliest pit stops.
Also, another driver into pit road, going to be Ethan Smith with one of the early stops so far here tonight. We'll see who else will be joining in the next 5 to 10 laps as you see that double zero able to take off and exit. As we've seen so many drivers with this new car. Those early races were so fun to watch, to see drivers that we had previously always talked about as being one of the favorites to watch out for. Ethan Smith this season, 2 top 10s, 2 top 5s. Obviously, this evening has not gone the way that he would hope. We'll see how well he does in these final 3 races after this evening. As the battling for 5th is underway, it's Campbell, Steele, right back at it to where we were at this stage of the tires earlier in the race.
They are, man. This has been a great kind of grouping here for a majority of the race. And Steele and Campbell were able to work their way up to 6th and 7th in that first run. Now they're 5th and 6th. So it's just that much better for them. And they got about a second and a half to Ryan Kelly. And right now, about a 3/10 quicker. So they are closing it down to that 30. This 66 and 8, they might be trying to focus on maybe having a possibility to try to get a podium. It's another 3 seconds up the road to Cedric Hunter, but they're still about 2/10 quicker than him.
But they've got traffic ahead as Thomas Green, Austin Halsey, Michael Miller just in a pod. That's going to be slowing down the 66 into 8. Trying to efficiently get by is going to be Campbell and Steele as Halsey and Green get out of the way. The 66 goes high and just trying to find ways to regain the momentum that both the 8 and the 66 had before they got to this group.
They did an excellent job right there. Campbell to really still carry the speed through there and get past them. As now you'll see the 8 go to the inside of Austin Halsey and see if they can make a pass. As Noah Steele trying to do exactly what Campbell did, is they'll also have Michael Miller not too far ahead of them also. So these drivers doing a good job. And right now, Ryan Kelly, one of the first of the drivers up front to pit, and I think Larry Yingling looks like he's come off pit road.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of a switch up. Drivers that pitted later in the run saw not as much as reward as they were hoping for. So all are switching to the undercut, pitting sooner than some of their counterpart drivers, and hoping that little bit of a gain is going to help them in the long run to maybe reevaluate and kind of reset where they were at before that first pit stop. As Yingling's on the go. Also going to be seeing Ryan Kelly get taken off and go. Thomas Green was able to make his stop, even though he's multiple laps down. And who will make the first showing of our top 3 to head into pit road? Vincent Sora was the first one on that first stop just 44 laps ago. Let's see if Jared Talmadge, Cedric Hunter, will they change up their strategy to try to gain time with an earlier pit stop? Because I feel like, Zach, that's the only way you could try to defend and get by the 15 is going with this earlier stop.
That's for sure, yeah, because he's battling right now the 9 of Martin Morales to put the 9 another lap down here. So 1 lap down, and that's definitely going to shake things up. So the 15 losing a little bit of time here, and if Talmadge anything, he pits here, he might be able to gain even more. As Cedric Hunter pit last time by, so the 13 feeling like the undercut's going to be the best way to go. And from what I've seen, the undercut has been the way to go.
Yeah, you're able to build up so much more of a gap that just by the time the tires equal out, there really wasn't enough time to close in on those gaps. Here's Justin Smith. Made it into the playoffs. Made it into the chase, in this 6th. I think one of the surprising drivers to make it in. There were so many great drivers that missed out, but the 6th had a little bit of a survival run himself, similar to Stephen Platt, where it was just try to make it to the end of races that were just pure chaos in the first half of the regular season, and that allowed the 6th to be rewarded into the chase as he's watching his competitors kind of struggle right now. The 6th machine runs in 10th in the middle of this pit cycle.
So you also had Ryan Bird hit pit road in the 49 machine, so he's going to bring it down. He was one of the earliest pits the first time, so that means he had to take it much farther than most. As now our leader, Vincent Sora, will bring it to pit road. So we'll see what Jarrett Talmadge elects to do as he does continue around for another lap. So I'm liking the undercuts, but if you're Jared Talmadge, I kind of understand going at least another lap or two here. I wouldn't go much more than 2, though.
You're forced. You're an earlier driver. You have to pit. So a couple of laps later to find an advantage. One lap later isn't a big enough one on the gap that you're trying to work with as Garcia makes his way through pit road. Looking at some of the drivers that made their stop, Stephen Clapp, a little bit of extended pit stop for himself as he had to back up during his run. And we'll see what other drivers, can they minimize their mistakes as Jared Talmadge leads the way for the 27 currently.
Doing a good job in that 27. He was able to gain a little bit of time at the back into that run. So he did an excellent job, got it within 6 seconds. We'll see when it all works out how it'll be. Just even Sora there coming off pit road, so no issues for him. He's going to get back up to speed, and we'll see when does Talmadge elect to come down. I don't think it could be too much longer, but looks like he wants to have that bigger difference. He just feels like that's probably the only way he can have any opportunity to gain that gap down.
Noah Steele now going to be into pit road. Top 4 still waiting for their call to make their entry, as everyone else has practically made their stops. Still waiting for Ben Keeney later, deeper in the field to make his final stop. Same for Mark Labertone. Those will be the only drivers besides our top 4. And Joshua Kanata, black flag, caught speeding, was the 16.
And that is worst case scenario here under green flag stops. That's going to kill his run here. So Kanata going to drop back multiple spots, and for a driver who is known for his consistency and finishing the race as well, it's just not going to play out tonight here for him unless he gets some type of caution flag, and we'll see if he's able to stay on the lead lap to Vincent Sora here when it's all shook through.
Jared Talmadge still leads the way. Nolan Hicks in second, Justin Smith third. Hoping and banking on a caution flag to fly. Otherwise, they will be making their stops here in the next few laps. Nolan Hicks over the radio. 86 about to be making his stop. And again, reminder, Nolan Hicks started this race off with the end of the line penalty. He is trying to make a heroic charge for a top 15, top 10 finish. And what a race it has been so far for himself as he qualified second. Kind of wish that he was able to stay in that position, but not going to be the case. As fastest lap of the day, Joshua Stovall going for your hot lap design. Fastest lap in bonus point if you have the fastest lap at the end of the day.
Breaking into that 29-second bracket, so really utilizing those Goodyear tires as he's in 13th is now finally Jared Talmadge. He feels like this is going to be the time to pit. He comes down pit road and he'll relinquish that lead to Vincent Sora, and we'll see what is that gap going to be like. It's got to be really, in my opinion, pretty big for how long he stayed out here.
Yeah, and Cedric Hunter, who pitted sooner, actually was able to gain time. The difference between Vincent Sora and Cedric Hunter after stinging out for an extra 3 laps, Hunter was now within 5.5 seconds of Vincent Sora. Just showing, if you had pitted sooner than Vincent Sora in that first run, I think a lot of these drivers could have been within 2 seconds of Sora right now.
And Larry Yingling, look at what his first run. He stays out one of the longest of anybody, and he suffers really big from that. Now he pits one of the earliest. He's running in third here, and his lap time's only about a half a tick off of Cedric here. So he's pretty much matching well with 4 lap order tires still.
Frustration is mounting, but for other drivers, it's how do we make it to the end of this race? Pit cycle is concluded. Now it's the rundown to the end. For us here at Freaking Fast Broadcasting, we're going to take our final commercial break of the evening. Less than 30 laps to go. Once we get past the 110, we'll be back to see how this race concludes as you've been watching the Trinity Racing League presented by Larry Arts Production. Season 1, Chase Race 2 out of 5 is underway as Vincent Sora is trying to solidify himself into the championship favorite. You're watching the Legacy Arts Production 210 here in Charlotte. We'll be back right after this. Who takes it, Sora or a late caution? We'll find out after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting's coverage of the Trinity Racing League presented by Larry Arts Production. You're watching Season 1 Chase Racing action. It's Chase Race number 2 of 5 for the Legacy Arts Production 210 at Charlotte. If you're just joining us, it's been clean and green, but the question is, for how long? Drivers over the radio, as we were under that commercial break, have been getting antsy. Some have been ran over, and the frustration's starting to mount to a point where these final 20 laps might be a make or break situation. Will it boil over of drivers' frustrations, or will we stay clean and green for Vincent Sora to take the win? Let's first take a look at a race report at this moment. I see that Stephen White's joined us. Thanks for joining with us. We've had no cautions. We've had 0 caution laps. We've had 9 lead changes because of all of the pit road cycles that we've had. We have had 2 different green flag pit cycles go through, 4 different leaders, and green all the way to this point. Zach, that is a feat that the ISRC admins are very thrilled to just hear, that we've been green for over 20 laps, let alone up to almost 120.
It's been, I'm sure, happy times for them right now, thinking how it's going to go. I mean, cross our fingers for it stays that way, because I think they're going to come out of here tonight, especially with all the worries of network connection. If we can get out here with a green flag, you know, all the way through checkered flag race, I think the admins can go to sleep.
We almost had a caution. Jackson Anderson slow on the front stretch, got into the wall, luckily saved the machine, and he is still very slow, just trying to creep his way around. Here's the weather, as air temperature 72 degrees, track temp has risen. During practice, it was actually at 77 degrees, now up to 79 degrees. Wind slightly breezy, as it is the middle of midnight for the drivers. But yeah, Zach, I mean, again, tire-wise, also going to be an issue. Just a lot of drivers have been pushing their tires harder than they have all evening long. The track's loose, and also tempers have been starting to boil.
You know, it only takes so long going around an oval before someone starts to go a little bit crazy, right? So, you know, when you keep going left, things can happen sometimes out there. So it's not over till that white flag flies, and then we know that will be solidified for that green flag finish. But anything can play out right now, as you can see. Larry Yingling, who again took advantage of that early pit stop, getting caught here by Justin Campbell. So good job by the 66 here to utilize those fresher tires, about 5 laps fresher too than Yingling. So we'll see if he can get his way past. And now you got Ryan Kelly and Aaron Crawlett back here also.
This is the battling going on for 8th place between the 30 machine and the 01. As Ryan Kelly at one moment was up front challenging our front leaders. Crawlett, got to give kudos to the 01 machine, started back in 15th place and marching for a top 10 finish. Cedric Hunter, though, looking in his mirrors, he's got a driver that's got 8-lap fresher tires than him, Jarrett Talmadge, starting to run down the Hello Kitty machine that is now trying to find a way to get by the 2 of Stephen Clapp, who is already 1 lap down. But Clapp continues to run the inside. Cedric just nowhere to really go. And he's just watching this position that he's about to lose slowly close in with 17 laps to go. The only driver that's in and absolutely knows what's happening if this race stays green is Vincent Sora. He has kept his nose out of trouble. He continues to build the gap. The only problem, he doesn't have the fastest lap. Our hot lap, fastest lap goes to Nolan Hicks, who stole it as we were going to commercial break. That 86, again, looked quick, just wasn't able to fully show out on that pace because of the penalty they had to start this race off. As here we go, Jarrett Talmadge to the outside, Cedric Hunter trying to defend, but there really isn't much that he can do about this 27 and then run. He's about to get off the exit of turn 2 here.
It's going to be tough to hold this 27 back, much fresher tires, and Talmadge definitely utilizing those fresher tires as well, as he's going to go right to the inside of 13. He's going to try to hang on to the quarter panel, but too much grip in that 27, and he's going to move himself in the second, and about 10 seconds back from leader Vincent Sora, so not going to be able to close that gap down. So right now, Jarrett is just probably going to, you know, manage his stuff and see what can play out here if he gets a yellow flag.
Manage his position. 10 seconds is the difference as they're closing up on another lap car, being the 9 machine of Mark Morales, who currently runs in 20th position, for the 9 machine, who also won the throwback scheme of the night, as the 9 disappears for a quick second and continues to disappear, and that's actually going to give a chance for Cedric Hunter, who will bounce to the outside because of the blinking vehicle. Talmadge backed off, wasn't sure where the 9 was, and now Cedric Hunter trying to pounce as there'll be 3 wide out the exit of turn 2, but where is the 9? Luckily, he's still there. Well, a little bit of trickery happening there for a quick blink.
Whew, gotta be careful right there with that. That was definitely wild. I mean, they went 3 wide there for a moment. Wasn't sure if they were going to have enough room there on the exit. As you see Cedric Hunter squeezing by as the 9. Morales now have connection. He just has that issue. It gets up into the wall. So definitely an issue for him there. But look at this. Vince Sora 10 seconds out in front here in the lead. And right now, Sam just trying to manage what he can. He's got Samuel Garcia, Joshua Canada right ahead of him. Also a Jackson Anderson. So that's probably the cars that he'll have to run through here before the finale of this race.
I mean, Vincent Sora, we talked about the fact that he is so good at being consistent all the time. The rare mistakes that blossom up. Tonight was a night where he had to hit his marks. I think, obviously, because of Chicagoland, the amount of mistakes that came out of that evening had 2 pit road mistakes, of 1 sliding through his box and missing and losing over 10 positions on his first pit stop. Then on the green flag pit stop that could have won him the race. He didn't take tires. Here tonight, he had to be picture perfect. I think more for himself than anyone else on track, and also trying to prove to the league this is his championship. Someone else has to try to grasp it from his fingertips.
That is for sure, because, really going to make a sizable game here. I mean, he had Larry Yingling, his closest competition, coming in tonight. Yingling right now, he is under threat. He has got Noah Steele right on the back bumper here for a top 5, and Joshua Stovall not too far behind him also. So, if anything, Yingling might be finishing 6th or 7th before this is all said and done. So, that's 67 in big trouble, and I think that's why he's fighting hard, because he's also got Justin Campbell right at him. So, that battle from 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th is pretty nice right now.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the pace of Yingling. He is running even slow enough to be back to 9th place, and those drivers are not too far away. They're still a second and a half back, so a couple of bad laps. Yes, it's 10 laps to go, but Yingling could be under threat of losing even more positions if he's not careful. Vincent Sora, though, seen in front of him, it's Samuel S. Garcia having a little bit of a fight with Jackson Anderson, and Anderson and Sora, they've had their ways, expecting this to be kind of a cordial pass on by. But the 2 drivers ahead of our 15 machine with 9 laps to go. This is for position. This is the stay on the lead lap. So the drivers have the right to fight to stay on the lead lap with our leader. We'll see how much action there is here for Sora, who hasn't really seen too much action in front of him.
Lap time wise, I don't think there's going to be a way for him, but we'll see. I mean, here on this straightaway side by side, nothing egregious going on. So I think good, respectable move from these guys to let it work out to another week and figure out their woes when they're actually racing each other for position.
As Anderson will just watch the 15 drive on by. Now Samuel S. Garcia in 14th position, trying to stay on the lead lap. Ethan Smith going to be the next driver after this 85. But Garcia continues to run his lane. That's the inside, trying to force Sora to go wide. Vincent Sora, I think if anything, he might just stay in line. There is no pressure to get out of the way of the 85. But he will show the sign, hey, I want the inside lane. Garcia will hand it on over. There goes that pink and yellow machine of Vincent Sora. Put in another driver 1 lap down. 7 laps to go here tonight. And looking at throughout the field, not a lot of other real passing for position opportunities. There is a little bit of a battle going on for 16th place. That's the 6th of Justin Smith, Ryan Ferraro going up against one another. Some groups that have kind of split off. There's some battling inside of the top 10 for 8th, 9th, and 10th place position, but they're pretty spaced out. Also, the battle for 19th, Ali Fonseca. He's got the 9 machine, and Mark Morales starting to close up to him, but Morales is still blinking. So that is a worry of if a car blinks around you, you could see a caution come at that point, but with 6 laps to go, Vincent Sora's gap, 9, almost 10 seconds is the difference for the 15. That is now about to cross the line. 5 laps to go here this evening.
Great job by Vincent here so far, doing everything in his power to win this race. Right now, like we said, you just got to get back to that white flag. If you get the white flag, that is going to confirm a lot of things in your mind. So we'll see how that works out right now when he'll be coming to 4 to go this time. And we'll see if anybody has any issues out there on the track. It can happen here at any point.
Vincent Sora just continues to put another lap down as the 15. A win here tonight would put him right back to winning half of the races this season. He's already won 5. He's got 7 top 5s so far this season, 7 top 10s, tied with the most top 10s at 7 with Larry Yingling. And with where Yingling's at, he's going to be going for another top 5 once again here this evening. I mean, Zach, just looking at the drivers that have finished inside of the top 10, Joshua Stovall's going to continue on with another top 10 finish, as well as Jackson Anderson was hoping to continue on that trend, but the 08, the night never really lined up for him this evening. He'll lose out on another top 10. But all eyes on Vincent Sora, who honestly, if you look at the tracks that are in front of us, I mean, he could go back to back. He was also, after this evening, going to go to Richmond, where that's another track that Sora is notoriously known for being quick at.
That's for sure. I mean, he's definitely got the good schedule, so to say, lined up for himself. So he's going to be continuing that trend there for that. But got 2 laps to go here, and we'll see if he can get back around for one more time to get that white flag, because that's going to be very important. Got Joshua Kanata right there ahead of him, the lap who is 1 lap down after that black flag from earlier, who's not going to play any factor in this. I think the 15 here going to be cruising here to the finish of this race.
Entering tonight, looking at the stats, the top, we had 4.5-mile tracks ran. We had 4 different pole sitters for 4 different tracks. We had 4 different winners for 4 different tracks here tonight. We broke that record. Jared Talmadge got the 2nd pole of 1.5-mile tracks. As your Morecast, 1 more lap to go. Flag is out. White flag in the air. This race is official. Head on over to Morecast to see all of your diecast memes as well as racing discussions. But Vincent Sora trying to be another driver to break another curse. We didn't know we were going to see another driver be able to win or have multiple wins at 1.5 miles. Well, the 15 does it. Your Legacy Arts Production 210. Give it to Vincent Sora, and he's back to 50% win rate for season 1. 6 wins for the 15.
What a dominant one at that, too. So looks like Jared Thomas just crossing the line even now. So Jared Thomas is going to bring home 2nd, and you'll have Cedric Hunter rounding out that podium. And a great run, too, from Justin Campbell, man. That it can't be said enough for him and Noah Steele. They've really did a great job climbing through the field here tonight for a top 5.
Great jobs all around as the field crosses the line, finishes the race. And Vincent Sora right back to the winning ways. Really wanted to get this one, kind of a redemption race you could save for that Chicagoland Speedway race that was thrown away. And now for Vincent Sora, with where drivers finished here tonight, you could say his points lead is even more crazy to look at. Should be in the double digits between 1st and 2nd in points heading into Richmond next week. As Sora gets to have his fun, for us, we will step aside. When we come back, we'll talk to our top 3, get their thoughts on this evening. What a race. Went flag to flag, no cautions. I know the league admins are happy about that. The drivers, oh, they're ready to cool off and get ready for short track racing next week. But don't you leave. We'll be back right after this for the post-race show, talking to Vincent Sora, Jared Talmadge, Cedric Hunter, and getting you prepared for next week's racing action. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the Trinity Racing League, presented by Larry Arts Production. Race 2 of the chase is in the books. Your Legacy Arts 210 victor is Vincent Sora. And if it wasn't for the pit cycles, I think Vinny could have led up practically every race, every lap here tonight. This race was just pure dominance. Vinny, 6 wins this season over 12 races. How are you feeling? Because you're right back to 50% win rate.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, that's super cool. I feel great. Yeah, tonight I came in with a mission, and that was to do exactly what I did right there. I just really wanted to go out tonight and dominate and get a big points lead heading into Richmond, which is another really good track for me. But there's so many unknowns at a place like that. So many different things can happen that are out of your control. So, yeah, I told myself tonight that I was going to go in and do just what I did right there, and now I need to continue that for the rest of the season.
Definitely a dominant performance from the 15 crew, Vinny. I mean, man, when did you know that it was starting to swing your way? I mean, we saw it was very close at the beginning, and then once you started to break away, kind of seemed like from that point on, it was you were setting sail.
Yeah, in the first run, I really had to make sure that I got to the clean air because I know how important that is here at Charlotte. And in doing so, I kind of burnt my tires up a little bit more than I wanted to. But right before I pitted, I was starting to kind of get comfortable again and build a gap on Jarrett. And then I had a really good green flag pit stop. And then in that second run, I was just trying to manage, but I made a huge swing at the brakes, just trying to free the car up a little bit. And I did a little bit too on the severe side, and it cost me some time. So I went back on that change, had a really good green flag stop again, and then yeah, for the rest of the race, I was just making sure I hit my marks, and I was checking the gap every once in a while, but I knew there was just no way they were going to catch me. So yeah, I just executed on every mark tonight, and I did what champions do.
You certainly did come out in a dominating fashion. This championship run is looking incredible for you, Vinny. Speaking of incredible paint scheme that we're taking a look at, what caused you to want to have this paint scheme here tonight?
Yeah, it's a random paint scheme from 2013 or 14, maybe 2012 actually. It was a Kurt Busch nationwide scheme that he ran at Talladega that was a tribute to Neil Bonnet. And Neil Bonnet, unfortunately, is one of those guys that I never got to see race, but he's just one of those guys that I think is so cool and has always had really cool paint schemes and is just such a legend of the sport. So I thought this would be a cool scheme to run. Really simple, something that Danny could whip up pretty quick, and I'm just glad to get a win with it.
It's a great scheme and a great win for yourself, Vinny. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, definitely just everybody in here tonight for keeping it green. I was nervous there those last probably 20 laps just waiting to see that yellow pop up, but thankfully it didn't. Shout out to Danny Cochran for the paint scheme, like I said, and he was on the pit box tonight. So glad we didn't have to make any crazy strategy calls and just kind of coasted to an easy win there. Hopefully we can do that for the rest of the season. Shout out to Jarrett and Tom in the VC. Tom had a sick win last week, but I think had some damage early that cost him, and then Jarrett had a great run in P2. So yeah, thanks to you guys and just everybody over here.
Well, thank you for giving us such a great run there tonight. Vincent Sora taking the win, his 6th of the season as he makes his march to become the Season 1 champion of the Trinity Racing League. Congratulations, Vinny, on this win, and good luck next week at Richmond.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
You too. As we move from victory lane, we go to second place to talk to the 27 of Jarrett Talmadge. Waited a little bit later to pit, and it rewarded him greatly at the last run. Jarrett, you come away second here tonight, able to pass all those drivers, get into second position. How are you feeling coming away second here tonight?
I mean, second's good, but I feel like it definitely could have been a lot better. I really screwed myself in the first run. Really tried driving it differently than I normally do, and it burned the right front off. And then when Vinny pitted, he had already had a 3-second gap, and then I ran long and I shouldn't have, and it gave an even bigger gap. And then kind of just the rest of the race, I was committed to running long, hoping for a yellow, and figured I could always just get back to second with the pace I had anyways. But I mean, second's cool. Definitely probably should have been fighting for the win. I mean, it's kind of what we need to do after iRacing server issues at Talladega. So I mean, second's cool, but sucks.
Definitely unfortunate to finish second for yourself, but I mean, like you said, after last week's network issues, how important do you think it was to at least get the ball back rolling for the chase for yourself? I know a huge points gap was lost last week, but at least this week it started the situation to go back in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, that is always the bright side is just to get the momentum rolling. I mean, we came out here, got pole, that's a point, finished second only to Vinny, so we gained points and everybody else to try and get back up there. But at the end of the day, you really just want to win races, especially when it matters in the playoffs. And didn't really execute the first run. And if you don't execute when there's no yellows, that's kind of what happens. You just throw your chance away at wins. But we got I don't know 5 more races. We'll go out there try and win every single one of them and see if we can't by a miracle claw our way back into the championship fight here.
I mean, it would be a fun storyline to watch you if you were able to do that, Jared. Before we get out of tonight, what was the inspiration for your scheme here this evening?
Yeah, man, I'll be honest. It was really just I talked to Danny. He owed me a paint scheme from a while back, so I was like, "Yeah, you want to just make me a paint?" And he threw together the Kevin Harvick. I guess it was breast cancer awareness one from 2012, I think. Um, so that's kind of what it was behind, and we gave it a good showing. Plowed the wall down a couple times. Almost blew it right front. Overcut people. About wrecked pit road entry, but we brought it home P2. Good TV time and a good finish.
It certainly was. Well, Jared, before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, shout out you guys putting on the broadcast. Everybody who runs the league. Shout out to Vinny for just wiping ass tonight, and shout out to Tom. I know he had a rough one there early and sped with no yellow. Obviously, didn't have a way back, but yeah, that's about it.
Well, that'll be your second place finisher, Jared Talmadge, coming away with a good finish. We'll see how he can claw his way into a championship fight next week at Richmond. Jared, congratulations and good luck next week.
Thank you.
As we move from second place, we go down to third. We go for 3 in the pink machines. We got the classic Hello Kitty machine of Cedric Hunter coming away third here tonight after missing last week. This is quite a way to have your debut chase race, Cedric. You looked quick all night long. It just didn't work out in your favor, but how would you assess your race here this evening?
Yeah, man, we had one hell of a race. Obviously, nobody was going to touch Vinny tonight, but I felt like we had a pretty good shot at running for second. Drove great. Obviously, like you said, fantastic debut. Looking forward to the rest of the playoffs. Hopefully, we can dig ourselves out of a, I guess, point deficit. And I think tonight's a good stuff to do in that. Richmond obviously will be super good for us. We have Vegas and I want to say Auto Club off the top of the dome. So all great tracks for me. Hopefully we can come back, and my goal is obviously to try and get back into the top 5 before the season concludes. So
Definitely think you could do that, Cedric, with the consistency you've shown. But this tonight here, a really methodical drive for you to take us through, working your way through the field, because that first real run of the race, you kind of had to really slowly but methodically work your way through and take us through the racing here tonight.
yeah, the car first of all was kind of interesting to drive. Like it launched really really loose on cold tires, and then kind of tightened up itself up pretty quickly. And then from there, I don't know if I just had the brake bias dialed way far to the rear, but like the balance was kind of just everywhere. I was either really loose or really tight, depending on just the situation. So, um, like you said, slowly, methodically moved my way up, kind of picking people off one by one. There's a couple guys that kind of fell back as I expected, which made it easy, and then the others. There's some guys up there that put up a little bit more of a fight, so which is always fun. It's always a great time. I will say that although that race went green, my wrists were so sore, and just I was sweating so much. Like it was a hard fought one. It was a lot of fun. Um, I'll say sweating as hard as I was and wrists as sore as I was. It's usually just a good old typical Saturday night, if you know what I'm saying. So it's good to have that on Mondays, and hopefully we can keep up the good racing.
I mean, Cedric, tonight's race certainly it's a shocker that it went flag green. But with the next 3 races being that Richmond, Auto Club, and Las Vegas, what are the ultimate goals that you're hoping to hit in these final 3 races?
I mean, uh, I don't know. Like I don't expect to obviously do anything too crazy for the championship. Hopefully, I can win a race. Like I've got Vegas circled. Actually, an auto club. I've done a couple auto club races in this car. I would say the last couple of years, and I've been really, really, really fast there. So, um, yeah, those two races I've got circled. Hopefully, we could win. That's really the ultimate goal. And I mean, if we can put ourselves in a good place, I guess in the playoffs, it doesn't matter, but it'd be cool. So that's kind of the goal, just to go out and win.
It sounds like a solid goal for yourself. Cedric, before we let you go, the floor is now set for anyone else you want to shout out for this evening.
Hell yeah, man. I want to give shout out to Vinny. I honestly wasn't expecting my ass kicked as hard as it was tonight. After the first pit stop, I kind of called that he was going to win by like 10 seconds. And sure enough, that's exactly what he did. So kudos to him. The kid's fast. And, um, I think that's if anybody deserves probably to win the championship based on pace so far this season, he's definitely been the favorite. So, um, good stuff for him. Congrats and shout out to all my teammates here at Team 81. Obviously, you guys for doing everything you guys do, uh, and my beautiful wife there for putting up with all my BS, and letting me race and stuff like that. So, uh, thanks to her and thanks to you guys, and hopefully we get to talk to you guys again next week.
Well, hope for it. That will be the 13 Hello Kitty machine coming away third here tonight. Congratulations, Cedric, on that finish, and good luck next week at Richmond.
I appreciate it, guys. Have a good night.
You too, as that will finish up our interviews here this evening. Looking at the unofficial results here tonight, again, I think everyone was expecting it. We even heard it from two drivers in a row. Kicking ass. Vincent Sora was that. He certainly was doing it. Second place behind by over 10 seconds. Third place behind by 12, 15, 16, 17. Eighth place was behind by 20 seconds, and only 14 drivers were able to stay on the lead lap. Ultimately, your top 10 was Vincent Sora, Jared Talmadge, Cedric Hunter, Justin T. Campbell. Fourth, fifth goes to Noah Steele. Larry Yingling falls to sixth. Seventh was Joshua Stovall. Nolan Hicks, eighth. Ninth was Aaron Kralik. And finishing out our top 10 is the 30 machine of Ryan Kelly. And Zach, I don't know if there's really anything else to say. I mean, I know a few drivers had their struggles here this evening, but it was just purely Vincent Sora tonight.
Yeah, domination from him for sure. And I mean, you got to say disappointing finish for Jackson Anderson. He had a tough end to his night. Same for Kanata. He sped on pit road. Yet Fonseca have the wheel issues back in 21st. You also had Cody Reed, who was out early in 29th, who had wheel issues. So definitely a wild night here at Charlotte, where guys had issues, but no yellow flags went. And yeah, Vincent Sora just clean clocks here tonight.
I know for the drivers and for the admins, a big kudos to yourself, as we were able to stay clean and green with the way that those first four races of the season went. I think the drivers, the admins, they thought this was going to be a terrible season. It was just going to be a caution-filled season all throughout, top to bottom. Not the case. Charlotte proved you guys can keep it clean and green, and it was a special evening in the C2 pit cycles go all the way through. But the season's not over. We got another track with it's kind of a coin toss. It's either a wreck fest or can we keep it clean and green? Richmond, 200 laps next week. That is going to be one you do not want to miss. With all the drivers, we've seen some rivalries have blossomed. Others are just the question of can you stop Vincent Sora? I think that's going to be the fun one to see, Zach, next week, of who survives and who doesn't.
It will be. I mean, short track battling, so we'll get to see, this late in the season, everybody's got so used to each other. We'll see how this first short track of a long time has went. So I think these drivers can put on a show there, multi-groove racing, and see if Vincent Sora can continue his domination, because, man, tonight is definitely made a statement.
And you look at the schedule, well, guess what? Next week, we are back to 2 races being broadcast. We've got ourselves Richmond Monday night, and a Wednesday night, it's the WSSR Elwood Designs Cup Series. The Gen 4s are back. We get to swap out the next gens, put the Gen 4s in there. I'm excited for it. Next week, Season 12 is upon us. We've got ourselves old vehicles. We're going to be on the old track surface. And Zach, I've been watching some of those practice races. This is going to be some fun racing to watch from at least a spectating point of view. I don't know for you guys out on track, though.
It's gonna be wild, man. We did a recruitment race at Daytona 08 last week, and I can tell you, it's gonna be so different than what we normally watch with super speedways. Some might not like it, some may love it. So again, come out and check it out. And then once we get into the intermediate stuff, I think that's where this car is really going to shine. You're going to see some great intermediate battles, short tracks. It seems like a lot of people are saying they're really, really good there. So I'm excited to see how it shakes out. I mean, hey, everybody knows that's the golden era of NASCAR. So if you want to see the best era of racing, the race car has been on product-wise for NASCAR. Come out and check out Wednesday nights because there's going to be some talented drivers putting those things to the test.
We got some new rookies that are coming in you don't want to miss out for. But for tonight, here this evening, I want to say thank you to Larry Arts Production, Blazing Fast TV, Orchid Ink Tattoo Studios, Apex 50, Hot Lap Designs, Morecast, and for the Lucky Cod Award, Cody Reed, for all the amazing sponsors that have come around to help the Trinity Racing League have our first season. Crazy to say, we're about to be halfway through the chase starting next week at Richmond. You don't want to miss it. Vincent Sora is the driver on top, but who can dethrone him? We'll have to find out next week. But for tonight, I want to say thank you for joining with us. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else that helps out here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you for joining with us and spending your Monday evening with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We cannot wait for next week. We're right back to 2 races a week, with Monday and Wednesdays back to full racing action. You don't want to miss it. Next week, Richmond. Does Sora go back to back, or can someone else prove that they're a challenger for the championship? We'll find out next week for the Trinity Racing League as we head to Richmond for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.